and 7 others. All 8 accused persons are expected to be arraigned on Monday, November 24, 2025. Prosecutors say they will also seek court orders to serve the charge sheet on suspects currently outside the country. In a related development, the OSP has dismissed reports claiming that Interpol removed a red notice issued for Mr. Ofori-Atta. In a statement issued on Wednesday, November 19, 2025, the office described the claims as, quote, mischief and misinformation, unquote, insisting that the alert has not been withdrawn. The clarification follows media reports alleging that Interpol rescinded the notice after reviewing the OSP's request, despite no formal charges yet being filed, no formal charges being filed against him yet. Meanwhile, private legal practitioner Martin Pebu, after a meeting with the OSP, has renewed calls for the removal of the special prosecutor, Kisi Ejabe.
The hearing couldn't go far because we raised some legal issues. There was an attempt to restrict me to one lawyer. So we pointed out to the officer who said so that, no, that's a very serious constitutional matter. You can't restrict a person who is being invited to appear before a committee to one lawyer. No, that's not our law. I started raising, especially the matter that for Ofori-Atta to leave Ghana with Kisi Ejabe stopping him, I smell something, okay? Right? And true, as we kept beating it in the public, finally you see that Kisi Ejabe came and confessed. That, look, let's not take that for granted. That's something big we should be looking at. That Ghanaians started, I'm not the only one. Many Ghanaians have been raising that they suspect something, people were getting very upset and talking on the various media, social media, traditional media, etc. And finally, Kisi came to confess that, yes, I saw the man, except that I went here, I didn't get help, allegedly, because I've spoken with people and NIB people are denying. They're saying that Kisi didn't come to them for help. We'll come into the details when we get there, right? So the other institutions that were named, we'll see. When it gets there, we'll see what they will also say. Our chief corruption fighter, at least on paper, the OSP is a specialized agency to deal with corruption. So he's the arrowhead. For him to see his key suspect, the crown jewel, right? The King Kong, going out of Ghana, and it didn't occur to him to come and do Ankwa Numa press conference part 2. It beggars belief, and it's something we will not let go. That alone is sufficient for Kisi Ejabe to leave the...
All right, so that's Martin Pebu, senior legal practitioner and a man who has chalked many successes at the court in the courts of Ghana. Is now into some activism. In fact, he is the convener of the Kumi Prekun Reloaded demonstration and a few other things. He's been at some, I won't call it loggerheads, but with the office of the special prosecutor. He wants Kisi Ejabe removed because he thinks that Kisi is not doing the job as he ought to. Of course, the office of the special prosecutor disagrees. He was at the office this week to provide some information about why he thinks Kisi and his people are corrupt. That conversation could not really start because of what you heard him say, some preliminary legal matters that were raised. And so we hope that, of course, he's been invited again, I guess. He will go and lay out his case as it is. Justice, let me start off with you. The Office of the Special Prosecutor, you think the OSP is under pressure to perform, or you think it is just the normal way things must run? It does appear there's a lot of pressure on that office and its boss, Kisi Ejabe, to perform. And are they doing what they have to do?
Thank you, Salam. So, truthfully, it's difficult to be the head of the OSP at this point in time of our lives. It's been around, if you like, for a little over half a decade. I think we are probably in the 7th year or the 8th year. And it's natural that people start asking questions because its significance is not being felt as it was touted to be right from the onset. And so naturally, you would find pundits and indeed observers asking questions as to its continuous relevance within the scheme of our laws in the fight against corruption and other things, because people do not see the real impact of the OSP. In fact, if you like, the last 10 months has rather shown that the Attorney General's office may be capable of performing the very task that it was assigned to it by way of the fight against corruption, if it was appropriately tooled and appropriately motivated, rather than having a separate institution in the form of the OSP. Of course, needless to point out that what we are witnessing within the Attorney General's office is also mostly about previous government officials rather than current officials. And so, admittedly, if you want to play mischief, you can easily say that the Attorney General is not targeting or is not going after his own people. But the other side of the coin is that nobody within this government has so far shown or had been seen to be involved in any act of corruption or corruption-related offenses. So that can easily be thrown out. But we've seen more of the Attorney General than we see of the OSP. And so it is beginning naturally to irritate people as to why we had the OSP, because even right from the point of its establishment, coincidentally, it was also only going after previous government officials, and nothing really substantive was seen. And even if you read their reports, for 7 years or thereabout, nothing substantial, nothing decent relative to the amount of money we are spending on the office, and all the positive vibes that were made of the office, particularly if you take the position of the former president and how he believed that this was going to be the missing link in the fight against corruption. Indeed, most of us supported that idea that the OSP was supposed to be the missing link in the fight against corruption. And you would always juxtapose this with what everyone else said, including the former Attorney General, Godfrey Dami, when he said that it's difficult, to sit on the same dining table with your colleague and the next day parade them before the court for acts of corruption or corruption-related issues. And so having an independent person who does not sit in cabinet or does not have any relationship with of members of government was the easiest, or is the easiest way to fight corruption in Ghana. And that principle, in fact, is not entirely wrong. It's actually still true, because of who we are as people. Sometimes I think we are a bit more hypocritical than we should be, and so it makes it difficult to have the same people that you do everything with fighting them in court, which is why sometimes you'd find that even judges would recuse themselves when friends or relations appear before them, because we cannot be absolutely honest enough to deal with such situations. And so having the OSP, for me, was the missing link. Unfortunately, we are not seeing the impact of that missing link. And so when people start asking questions, when people start throwing stones at the office of the special prosecutor, it is genuine, and it is important that the office recognizes this and passes decision. And it's sad when you put the Ken Ofori-Atta saga into this whole mix, because we saw Ken around. These issues about SML in particular started way back when Manasseh started raising the issues, to the point where President Akufo-Addo even had to step in and commission independent auditors to go into the issues and all of that. All this time, I'm sure the issues were before the OSP. And we saw absolutely nothing, or if you like, very little being done to investigate or even prosecute the issues. I'm not oblivious of the difficulties one faces when you have an existing president or a government protecting its own. But it is also not true that you cannot do absolutely nothing within such a fierce environment if you really want to show your worth. And so, putting all these together, it's quite difficult for anyone at all to score the OSP with any decent grade. Now, imagine the fight for the extradition of Ken when it started. The Attorney General continuously came out through Justice Sai, that they have not received anything from the OSP. At the time, you had not even provided, you had not even had a charge sheet. And within private corridors, these discussions have been going on. Why do you even take these steps? No charge sheet, nothing, absolutely nothing about these persons that you suspect have committed corruption or corruption-related offenses, and you have absolutely no charge sheet. So there's nothing substantial for anyone to even make value judgments of these issues. And if you are desirous of extraditing the person to your country to answer charges, I think the fundamentals are quite simple. That the barest minimum, put the matter before court, and then let the rest flow from there. But it looks like most of the discussions were more of media engagement than active and real attention to what ought to have been done to get the person within the country. So we're enjoying more of the media attention, more of the if you like, put some idea of attempting to please the rest of us that something is being done, when in fact we do not see the impact of what was being done, if not something was being done at all.
Okay.
So in the end, my position is that the OSP has a lot to do to prove all of us wrong, that indeed it is fit for purpose, and that its continuous existence is crucial for the fight against corruption.
Talking about the impact of the OSP, he may not have been successful in putting anybody behind bars, but will you discount the fear factor? Of course, when Kisi was being vetted, he said his aim was to reduce corruption. He may not be able to eradicate it, but he'll make it an expensive venture to engage in. So when you're doing something, you know that the mere fact that you know that the OSP could come after you is some success. So for example, in his short time as OSP, at least he's investigated the amount of sitting ministers. Cecilia Adapa, okay, that matter came up. Never mind how it concluded, but he did some work. You know, they understand he did some investigation around Atacha, you know, but Atacha was vindicated. The Northern Development Authority, there is some ongoing matter there in respect of how some monies were used. So that was a sitting government agency that it was investigating and is continuing to investigate. You know, the MC or DC who allegedly said he paid some monies to some people to vote him to become DC, he didn't win. That matter is still there, you know. And a few other cases he has gone after, and some other things he's done, like the payroll audit of the payroll audit in the Northern region, where he collaborated with the Controller and Accountant General to save us some 34 million or so. You know, all of these are things which people may say are successes. He may not have put anybody behind bars, but he might have succeeded in saving the country some monies and putting the fear I won't say the fear of God, but putting some fear in people. Is that not success as well?
So, this is it. When you are able to list alleged successes, it literally defeats the entire conversation and indeed the continuous existence of the OSP, because you should ordinarily not be able to list them. Ordinarily. You shouldn't be able to list these things. Ordinarily, you should be able to rather show, knowing the level of corruption in this country, how pervasive it has been, I mean, particularly within the public sector. It shouldn't be countable that you're able to tell us what has been done and what has not been done. Indeed, when you talk about saving us money, it is actually part of the functions of the OSP to prevent, to be proactive in the fight against corruption. So it is so that the measurement is not really about convictions, securing convictions, and then sentencing people to prison. That is not how you measure this. Otherwise, you'll be completely wrong. Sometimes just the fact of prosecuting could even be of immense help. So I'm not even counting the successes of the OSP in relation to securing convictions of people that it has prosecuted. Neither am I counting it from any particular angle. I'm looking at this holistically. for us to determine whether it's indeed worth our while. You see, if you relate the OSP to the Attorney General's office, which I did a while back, you can clearly understand why it should be doing more in the fight against corruption than any other institution within this republic.
But just
a
quick one.
Of the OSP.
A quick one. Kisi is 3 years old at the OSP. When he came,
Absolutely.
4. When he came, the office had almost collapsed. Martin Amidu left. The office had almost collapsed. They came. They had to employ people, fill the spaces, everything, train the people, which took about a year. So effectively, he's been working for just about 2 years or 1.5 years. And
all right,
is that not to be considered in the analysis as well?
Respectfully, this discussion is not about. It's not judging Kisi as an individual. That's not what is happening here. What we are discussing is the office of the special prosecutor, not the officer in charge of the office. And so if you reduce it to Kisi, you may be missing the point. You may be missing the point.
I get the point. But yes, to be fair, but Kisi is becoming the embodiment of the office. Martin Amidu at some point was, but we know how it ended. He didn't spend much time there. He left. There was quite some lacuna before Kisi came. So Kisi, and in fact, Martin Amidu, with all his glory and his reputation and everything, he could put only one person, if my memory serves me right, before court, Mahama Yariga, in that ambulance matter, which never went anywhere. So Kisi is the man really moving the OSP. So that's why sometimes people, refer to the OSP as Kisi, even though it is the office. It shows that is how people see the office. He's the one embodying the office right now, and I think it's fair to say so.
Fair enough. However, you and I do not have that benefit of misleading or of that same
I get the point.
Yes, but so, other people can
great.
So the point is that I can understand you to be saying that Kisi hasn't spent much of the time. In fact, if you like, he has spent half of his time as tenure in the office. I think he's supposed to be about 7 years.
7 years.
And if he spent about 4 years, he still has about 3 years remaining. And so your position is that we should give him some slack because, of course, he literally had to babysit the entire office. I mean, the setup and all of that. I'll grant him that, and it is fair to say that. But my point is that looking at the entire circumstances of the office, the basis for setting it up, the rationale behind it, and what we are getting, is it value for money? This is what I want us to discuss. Should we still allow this office to continue in its existence, knowing that we may not get value for money? Or we should simply just overlook it and hope and pray that it gets better one day? That's all I'm asking.
Great.
Thank
All right.
you.
Great. Let me come to you. the office of Kisi and the office of the special prosecutor appear to be on some collision course with the AG. AG says they want some dockets from him. He's not making the dockets available. That is why they are unable to initiate the extradition and all of that. And now the red alert or the red notice that Kisi placed on Ken Ofori-Atta had been blocked now because Ken's lawyers have petitioned the Interpol to raise some matters to the extent that, it is political persecution because the AG's office doesn't appear to be agreeing with the OSP over some matters, etc. Those matters, to some extent, raise some prima facie matter, and so the Interpol have had to block the red notice so that the office of the special prosecutor will respond, then they see where that goes. I hear that response has been made, and we are waiting for Interpol to come to a certain conclusion on whether to restore the red notice or not. This obviously doesn't paint a good picture, does it?
Well, the OSP is an independent office, so it is divorced of government. They speak for themselves, and they are not under anybody's direction or control. What I would say is this: that office, I think, is a necessity. because of the clear understanding that all of us have had as political parties and players, that it is difficult for a sitting attorney general to go after his own, especially persons who sometimes he sits in cabinet with. You understand? I'm yet to see an attorney general prosecute, let's say, the Minister for Finance in his own government, for example. It becomes difficult. You understand? Other than that, I'm sure then the minister, realizing the $90 million who would have initiated investigations into that, for example. You understand? So in such instances, or the SML issue, for example, it would have been difficult for the then sitting attorney general to go after his own brother in cabinet. So we came up with the concept that, look, under the vision of President Nana Akufo-Addo, credit to him for establishing the office, that there comes a time when we need to create an office that will deal with corruption and corruption-related matters. You understand? To the office, give it specific mandate, take some of the power from the Attorney General and give it to him, so that he's an investigative person. He's also a prosecutorial authority on his own, and also to prevent corruption as well. Now, in respect of this matter, and I respected this on another network this morning, that I have not been impressed with the handling of the issues to do with the preparation of the docket and when it was ready. I felt that, look, if something is not ready, yes, the OSP is enjoined under their law to inform the public as to the progress of investigations, what they are investigating. They do that by way of their publication twice a year. But the practice normally is that if the docket is not ready, it's not ready. Look, U.S. investigators can take 5 years, 6 years, 7 years investigating one particular matter. In fact, the recent conviction of a gentleman for donating illegally to the campaign of President Obama. These investigations take years. Sometimes these fraud investigations that involve international, they can take 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. It is when they are ready, the docket is ready, they are ready to make arrest, then they break the story. Or when they file the indictment, then they break the story. So when the issue of, and when you hear the OSP, even this morning they will tell you that they issued a red alert to restrict the movement of Mr. Atta. But the point being that, look, at all material times, the Attorney General and other agencies, and at least at the public communication that we've all had, was the impression that the OSP was the lead agency when it came to the investigation of Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta in respect of, I believe, about 5 matters. Now, if you are the agency that is investigating the man for 5 major issues, other agencies are also investigating for other matters. But imagine that all of them try to move in for extradition at the same time. It literally would look confused. You understand? It will look like everybody is fighting in a space for, when at the end of the day, what you want is accountability. What you want is, so one agency obviously will be allowed to take the lead, bring the person in, and of course everybody else will then get to question the person. So at all material times, the impression had been that the OSP's investigations had gotten to the point where extradition was going to, because the red alert clearly was that if you get him, arrest him because he has questions that you want to answer. Then you moved in with a request for what? Extradition. That request for extradition did not come from the Attorney General. It came from the OSP. You understand? And that triggered the Attorney General's request for what? A docket, whether it is in a temporary form or it is in a completed form. And that is where we had these
Yeah, but
issues.
their matter was that just around that time, they got leads into
Perfect.
various aspects of
I
the SML.
understand that. Nobody
So they
does
had to
say
go
that.
and do-
That's why I said that. In all of this, would it not have been better? You understand? Then the issue of whether you should charge them, whether you can try them in absentia, all those issues came up. But for the public pressure, do you believe that we would have had these charges filed this month?
Why not?
Oh, please. I think that, look.
But what do you think?
My
that
point-
that,
my
that
thoughts-
the
my-
OSP doesn't want to proceed.
Oh, no,
with the matter?
not at all, not at all. My point is this. The OSP is a very important office. Its methodologies and things are laid down in law. My point is this. If the docket was not ready, perhaps there was no need to have even made any public pronouncements in respect of, because when you make those pronouncements, you drive expectation. You understand? Clearly, if you are going to receive further leads, because at the point when there was the reports about whether the dockets were ready or not came up, the obvious question was, is the docket ready or is not ready?
Yeah, so per the new findings.
No, the first letter that went, they say produce the docket.
Yes.
Whether in its temporary form or...
But they said they couldn't produce in a temporary form because there were other persons or other things in it there that the AG didn't necessarily have to see or need.
Why?
Because
No,
the matter was in respect of Ken Ofori-Atta. There were other things in there that.
But you are preparing a docket in respect of. So give him what is needed for him to be able to trigger. Because his point was that without a docket, he could not do the extradition process. So my point is simple. If the thing was not ready, it was not ready. That's been that's the only point where I have a difficulty with the way communication and handling.
So you think they spoke too early?
They spoke too early. I think that if they had waited, filed the charges that they have now with everything ready, and then let the public know that we are ready.
But you think even as they are working, there's public pressure. So maybe 10 months.
But you say you shouldn't be
and
moved.
nobody's hearing about Ken.
Hold on, you shouldn't be moved. The thing is this: if your investigations are not complete, they are not complete. Because when you do that, you fuel unnecessary public discourse about on motives which are unrelated. My point was that, look, Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta is not the only suspect that the OSP has to deal with. If they are not ready, they're not ready. And if you tell the Ghanaian people that you are investigating, until your investigations are complete, you are not in a position, you understand, to deal with issues of red alert, what have you. You are not ready. You understand? It means that you are not ready. And nobody can push you to do something premature. Because when you move before you are ready, what then happens is that these are the difficulties you meet. And you explain and explain and explain. You understand? You give your version. Oh, the red alert is there. The red alert is not there. But the point is simple. It's either the red alert is operational or it's not operational. I don't see any middle ground in this issue as to the fact that the red alert is there, but you cannot see it.
No, so he said it's been,
too many explanations.
It's been redacted.
Have you seen redacted red notice? Do you know of a concept called redacted red
but
notice?
we know that the Interpol
And so unless listen, the point is this. You are dealing with a suspect that is literally the crown jewel of all the investigations you are doing. The law is that everybody is deemed equal before the law, blah, blah, blah. But there are suspects that are of supreme public interest because of the need. So when you are handling their matters, unless you are ready, you don't move. Nobody should push you to the point where you would.
Ken Ofori-Atta, for example, we understand there are many things.
You need to ignore. You should learn how to ignore some of these comments from the public. You don't need to react to.
Yes,
I'm saying there's this edge that everything that is said in the public triggers a response from the OSP.
Yeah, but
somebody says that
the other point is that
you must learn how to close your ears.
Yes, especially if you are an investigating body.
Close your ears to some of these things.
The other point is that the AG can do its own investigations in respect of other cases it has against Ken.
Of rules.
No, I mean not on the same things.
So you are investigating, but the point
not
is
on the same
you
things.
do not want to appear. You understand? To be interfering with.
No, not on the same thing.
So here is the part. This is a suspect. He is a suspect in multiple
Yes.
investigations.
But outside of the multiple set of investigations, there are other things I'm looking for.
He is suspect in the multiple investigation. You have the lead agency specially created by statute to deal with corruption and corruption-related matters. If that agency is out there telling the public that we have 5 cases, one of which is the biggest of all is the SML. You understand? We have ready. We have this information, we have this information. That becomes you don't want, because remember, if you appear to also want to go after him, not that you are also not doing your investigations, but if you appear to the word will definitely be interfere. If you take any steps that clash with the steps taken by the OSP, everybody will say, oh, you are trying to interfere with them. You must give them the space to do what they are doing. So when you say that, look, you are now in a position where you want to extradite the person, and then the agency, the national agency responsible for extradition, tells you that without a docket, I cannot do the extradition. You understand? Where is the docket? Whether half docket or full docket, bring me a temporary docket or a completed docket, then you are caught hanging. You understand? Then the defense lawyers keep repeating this point, that there was no charge at the time you issued the red notice. What had you charged the man with at the time you issued the red notice? Had you placed the charge sheet before a court? Had you charged him with a crime? Or you were just suspecting that he had committed a crime? You understand? So those were the critical questions that were being asked. And now with this issue of the red alert, blah, 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 you have a problem. You have to explain and explain and explain. That's what the problem is. Imagine that the OSP said nothing. It says he was simply investigating. He had not completed his investigation. Then we are now in November. For the first time, the OSP has completed its filed the charge sheet. It's ready. It's now notifying, because you have to formally notify the accused persons and provide them with copies of their charge sheet. You go to court, you do your application. Whatever mode the court grants you to serve them, you serve them. You understand? Now you can go to court and declare them fugitives, because they have been notified. After satisfying the notification requirement, if they refuse to come to the court to answer to the plea, to take their plea, then the basis is now set for you to declare them as fugitives. That is, in my opinion, a cleaner, pathway. You understand? Than to say I'm restricting his movement here and the person is a suspect. So far as your investigations were not complete, you had, in my opinion, no business rushing it. Because at the end of the day, we all want a situation where we learn from best practices. The investigative agencies in other countries can suspect you, can be a suspect on their list. They will allow you to go in and out of their country. When they are ready to pounce, they pounce. Look at the MP that was dealing in cocaine, for example. How many times did the U.S. authorities not allow him to move in and out of the jurisdiction? It is when the evidence was complete and they were ready to pounce, then they made the public announcement and they grab you. You understand? The fact that you are monitoring him, you are an intelligence agency as well. You know his movement, you know where he. So you keep your cards to your chest. I just feel that the OSP, as a developing institution, must also develop a thick skin in a way that does not always appear to react to everything that is, because there are agent provocateurs in there. Defense lawyers and others will provoke you. They will say things to provoke you. It doesn't mean you always have to react to everything that they say. No. That is my only part. Other than that, they are doing a good job. For us, for me as a citizen, the way they keep trying to, bring out these cases and roll them out, they will not get 100% record. No agency, no government prosecutorial team ever gets 100% conviction record. It's not possible. But the fact that people will be put to court and will be given their day in court, the charges and the facts and the things that they have done in terms of the charge sheet, those are things that as citizens we must be proud about, that we are building an institution. So they should not be overly sensitive to criticism. You understand? They should take some of the criticism on board and learn from best practices.
I see. Nana, yes, the Office of the Special Prosecutor, you think that they are not I won't say sleeping on the job, but that's the accusation, that they are not vigorous, or they are not rigorous in this matter of Ken Ofori-Atta. The fact that they took so long to bring out the charges, the issue about the red notice and everything. What's your thought around that? You think the office is doing a good job following the rules, or you think it could have been better?
Thank you, Salom. Let's go back to basics. It should not be lost on us that the office was created under President Akufo-Addo, and there was good reason why he created that office. Indeed, I recall that when it was mooted that such an office, when the bill was introduced, I recall granting an interview in which I stated my position originally, that I thought that it was superfluous. Superfluous because I felt that instead of setting up a whole new office, why not retool for purposes of today's conversation. For purposes of today's conversation, retool existing anti-corruption institutions in order to perform that duty. And so I recall that conversations about decoupling the office of the Attorney General from the Ministry of Justice, and then providing security of tenure for the Attorney General, and all those conversations came up. But in the wisdom of the President and his cabinet and the government at that time, the office of the Special Prosecutor was duly created. And indeed, the office was also supported. In fact, over the years, the office has received support. It must not be lost on us that it is a very nascent institution as far as our anti-corruption institutions are concerned. And so if you look at the raison d'etre behind the establishment of the office, I believe that at this point in time, it is too early to be calling for the scrapping of the office entirely. And because, as you rightly acknowledged, since the establishment of that office, there has been only two holders of that office. The first was Honorable Martin Amidou, and then the second is who we have now, Hisie Jabing. And so if you look at all of that, I think that to be able to come to the conclusion that the office is no longer needed, there's the need for some monitoring and evaluation, an M&E analysis to ascertain, one, what were the objects for creating the office in the first place? Two, have these objects been achieved? What have been the hindrances? What have been the challenges? Is it necessary to continue, or do we deal with it? How do we approach solving or resolving the issues surrounding the office of the Special Prosecutor in order to make it more efficient? I think that these are conversations that we need to have. But I must sound a caution that as far as the SML matter is concerned, because it's a sub judice, I will be limited in my commentary on that, simply because it is still in court. But we must know that, going back to basics, democracy is not an event. Democracy is a journey to collective prosperity. And for us in the MPP, we like to refer to it as inclusive prosperity. Now, one of the key pillars of any democracy is the rule of law. And one of the major enemies to any democracy is corruption. And so anything that fights against democracy and that journey to arrive at inclusive collective prosperity needs to be dealt with. And I believe that it is within that context that President Akufo-Addo saw the need for the creation of the office of the Special Prosecutor. But we must bear in mind that that office is ultimately subject to the Constitution, and the key pillar of democracy being the rule of law. And so anything that is done or carried out from that office should be within the confines of the rule of law. At this point in time, as far as the SML case is concerned, we've seen since February, we've seen a lot of things that have happened. A lot of things that have happened. It appears that there is some media trial going on, which has planted in the minds of the general populace that the persons who have been charged and put before the court are already guilty of the offenses that they've been charged with because of the alleged media trial that has happened since February. That is what it appears now. But we must not lose sight of the fact that the rule of law is something we must all hold dear. And the fact that we should all be presumed innocent before proven guilty is something that should equally not be lost on such a specialized institution as the OSP. And so, insofar as the operations of the OSP are concerned, and in relation to the SML, I would say that, yes, if genuinely they are fighting the cause of eradicating corruption and all of that, by all means, let's support it. We should all support it. However, if there are indications as if this is political witch hunting, then I do not think that we are being fair.
In the case of Ken, you think it appears like it's political witch hunting?
I wouldn't say that it appears so. I'm saying that if the conduct of the OSP makes it look like that,
but as his conduct in this matter,
now, because you raised the issue of the Interpol red notice. It's been challenged as we speak. It has been removed,
redacted.
But he says it has been redacted. But whether it's been redacted or removed is a different conversation altogether. So it makes you wonder, why then was a red notice requested for in the first place?
Because they wanted to restrict his movement. Because we hear
when you haven't completed investigations yet.
Because they wanted to get him into town. Because that has been challenged as well. That why do you need him? He could decide to come and even keep quiet. So you don't need him. Just go ahead, do what you can do.
Precisely the point. I recall the calls for charging him in absentia. I recall the OSP's responses to that. But today, Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta is not in Ghana, but he's been charged.
So why didn't you do this long ago?
Earlier.
But they hadn't concluded the investigation. They said they were almost done.
So if you
But
had not
just when they were
concluded,
about
why
concluding-
did you take those steps? That is the question. Why did you take those steps? So it is not surprising, therefore, to see my senior Martin Pebu calling for the removal of the OSP. It is not surprising.
You think he should
Now,
be removed?
but let me find out. Let's find some clarity here. Is Martin calling for a total scrapping of the office, or he's calling for the removal of the person who holds the office?
I think he's calling for the removal of Kisi, not scrapping.
Not scrapping the office, which means that he understands that that office is necessary and is doing a good job, or it can do a good job.
I don't think I've heard him talk about the office as in not being necessary. I think it's the person.
Indeed. So if that is the case, question then becomes, if such allegations are made against the office holder, would it be prudent for that office holder to be investigating itself? Mind you, under the OSP Act, they are not subject to anybody's control or direction. But Parliament has ultimate oversight responsibility over the OSP. And so Parliament is the one that could check on the OSP. So this invitation of Martin Pebu to come and I don't understand.
No, Martin had made a claim that the guys were corrupt. So if you say I also investigate stuff, so come and let me.
I also investigate corruption.
Yes, so you're investigating myself.
But exactly
no, you
the
said
point.
you have information. Let's see.
Exactly. So what is the OSP going to do with that information? investigate itself with that information?
I get a point, though.
Precisely. So, as far as the office is concerned, I believe that the rationale behind the creation of that office, which was conceived by President Akufo-Addo, was good rationale.
But it's not being played out well.
Precisely. And I
By
think
the
it's early
actors in the
days.
office.
It's too early. It's too nascent an office to scrap. Too nascent an office to scrap at this point. So we need to take our time.
But have you been impressed?
Concerned.
I mean, so the last comment. Have you been impressed with the workings of the office so far?
It is too early for
I think
me.
but it's almost 10 years.
Yes.
I think there's a deterrent effect that office
I agree.
is instilling in people now.
I agree with you on that.
And to a large extent in the fight against corruption. I think that's important.
I agree with you on that. I agree with you entirely on that.
For setting it up.
Yes.
I agree with you on that because even the establishment of the office sent waves. It sent waves. And this is an office holder, the special prosecutor, enjoys security of tenure. So no government has control over it.
Great. Let me take the final views of Justice on it. Justice, are we ever going to see Ken in Ghana? Are we ever going to see him in the process? Extradition is quite a difficult one. Godfrey Dami tried it with Sedinam Ationu. Till date, I'm not sure anything has been done about it. That's Godfrey Dami who tried and secured conviction for a person. He tried it, but it's not been successful, so still nothing has been happening. It's been years, or it's been about a year or two. Can we go through this process and get Ken to Ghana?
I have every conviction that if we are determined to get him to Ghana, we will. I mean, particularly looking at the sort of relationship we have with the U.S. administration on extradition and other matters. We have been playing nice balls with them. They always get what they want in Ghana. We give them people, we give them property, everything that they request for. I think Ghana has shown that level of consistency in granting the request of the U.S. administration, allowing them into our territories and do all kinds of things. I think it was just fair and right that if we have similar requests, they also accord us the same level of respect and then reciprocate what we do to them, for them. To that extent, I believe that once we push strongly our case, within the confines of the law, we would be able to get both persons into Ghana. Mind you, this will not be the first time, even though in the past we have had other transactions with the U.S. government by way of exchanging of people from across the boundaries of the two countries, particularly if I remember, I think this was in the 80s and all of that. But that is a different subject for discussions. But with respect of this, I think that once we lay the cards there and able to show that indeed these are people who genuinely need to come to Ghana and face the law, I think I see nothing wrong in the grants and of that level of application. But having said that, my question is, what is so difficult, particularly in relation to Ken, if he genuinely believes that he hasn't done anything wrong? What is wrong in coming to Ghana and defend himself if he has not?
But he said it's not well. He said it's not well.
Naive. We all know. What that means. That story has turned out to be completely false. Looking at the recent event, but we can discount that. My point is that Ken, that we have known in Ghana over the years, I have difficulties accepting why he doesn't want to come and respond to the allegations that are being made against him. I understand what Nee is saying, but honestly, Ken's issue is mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling. Because he had shown. This is a man who called himself the father of Ghanaians. Yes. And I find it so difficult to appreciate the difficulties or the challenges of coming here. For several reasons. First, because he believes in the rule of law of Ghana, and I'm sure three of us, luckily, coincidentally, happen to be lawyers, and and we all believe in the fidelity of our laws by way of the prosecution of persons and all of that. And that this will never be, and I can bet my last life on it, that this is not going to be a persecution of an individual who has not done anything.
Great.
If it is going to be a prosecution,
Yes.
that means you have a chance of exonerating yourself.
Great. My time. Yeah.
Looking at this persecutor-
No. My
prosecutorial
time is
point
up.
of view.
So, yeah. So I mean, you wanted to make a point in 2 seconds. Two
I
seconds.
think that I am struggling to see why Honorable Ken must necessarily be in Ghana.
Because there's a
For-
provision for trying him in absentia.
Precisely.
Great. So
And
we have to
besides, in civil procedure, in recent times, our civil procedure rules was
Video
amended
link.
precisely.
But do we have that for criminal?
No,
We don't.
not
You have
that
to-
I'm
you have to be
aware of.
present, yeah.
Not that I'm
Yeah.
aware
So,
of.
but this is not civil. This is criminal.
This is criminal, but why can't such a provision?
But that's amending the law. That's a longer route just for
That's
Ken.
procedural rules.
Yes, but we
That's
have to
all.
amend. For now, we don't have it. All right, so we have to
What's so
go.
special about Ken?
Yeah,
Like,
so-
Victor Salome was in Ghana, Kwame Pepra was in Ghana,
Kwesi Botwe.
was in Ghana. Every other person who has held
Akoto Osei, who held
Akoto,
it.
but
Because
every
I do
other
not- I
person
do
who
not
has held the
think
position.
No, but he said it's not well.
He's not well.
And he
but I
informed
don't
us
think
before
he has
leaving.
said
Victor Salome
he
was
has
well.
said that
Yeah, but
when
he-
he
was
was
put on
ready
trial.
to
Yeah, but
defend
he
himself.
informed us he was leaving.
No,
and
Victor
we allowed
Salome,
him
who
to
was in
leave.
the US, who
Very
was
well.
brought down.
Thank you so
was
much.
well.
That's
Come on.
the Pakpo Samoa Ado, Nana Akwesi Ewua, private legal practitioner, Ni also private legal practitioner, Justice